Welcome to Last Orders, the podcast about the podcast. We're going to talk with some of the players about the recent episode of the Crowded Tavern, more specifically, episode 2, Here There Be Dragons. With me today, I have my trusted friend and ally, Amanda. Say hi, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
Yay! Also with us, we have two guests, Rik, aka Alim.
Hello, hello, hello.
And Jake, also known as Benjamin.
Pleasure to be here.
So, how are everyone doing today? Because I know for a fact that we all feel great, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why did we decide to record a podcast at 10 a.m. on a night that we all knew that we were going to get drunk as well? I don't quite understand what the thought process there was for us.
I was just so surprised that the time pick was like early-ish on a Saturday morning. Because, I mean, I'm an hour ahead of you guys, so I'm fine. But I was just like, it's great, it's cool. Then we get it out of the day. Don't need to think about it, but still.
I put my hands up for this one because I have so much to do today. And I was like, well, at least if we record early, I can get more done in my day because this is also something I need to do today. Like writing the show notes and everything. So it was very strategic on my part. And also, I hate myself.
We all know to blame you now.
Yeah.
That's my kind of just everyday existence. Very strategic, and I hate myself.
I have mild regrets, but we're here.
Yeah. I woke up on time. Like, if I remembered to get out of bed on time, in my diary it was 11. So I was in bed just monging from like 9. And then got a message from Amanda at 5 to 10 going like, I'll send you the link in a second. And I was like, oh, I need to get out of bed. Yeah, my bad on that one.
It's okay, we're all here.
We're all here now. It worked out. It's fine.
We've all mostly eaten breakfast and drank our coffees together. It's been a lovely
Breakfast, I forgot again. I'll eat afterwards.
You just watched two people eat breakfast in front of you.
I know.
On camera.
It didn't even pass my thought. It's okay. Oh, yeah.
All right. Before we jump too much into what we want to talk about today, we just probably quickly should mention just a little thing that happened on the live show. Because if you were there on the live show and you have also listened or watched the edited version, you might notice that 30 seconds roughly is missing. And that is because we have a 16-year-old kid in our party, Jake. That's you.
I am playing a 16-year-old character in the game. That's correct.
That is correct. And at some point there was like an obvious joke to be made about, an innuendo. And we did. And other people leaned into it, and we all had a laugh at the point of time when all this happened. And maybe that is not super smart to do, let's just say, jokes like that when you have a 16-year-old in the party. So that was obviously, a thing we should have thought about, and actually a thing that we talked about in our session 0, that this, situations like this was what we were worried about, and that we should try and avoid them. And yeah, I mean, we failed to do so in the live show. We did fix it in the the post-production, so it's not part of the edited version. So it was a small error on our side, but we have done what we can now to correct it, and I'm pretty sure that we will have a little bit more in the forefront going forward in the next few episodes.
I think it happened, and we just have to put our hands up and say oops and learn from that moment, and just keep, like you say, Marty, keep it in our minds as we're going forward. And because there is that difficulty when we're all adults, like all 6 of us playing are adults, and we're all in varying degrees of crass people who really like innuendos, some more than others, looking at myself, and it's sometimes really hard to remember that someone is playing a 16-year-old for some reason.
Sorry.
Everybody looking at Jake.
Who is
What I will say-
fantastic, by the way. Like I love Benjamin. Like I think he's a great character. And it's because you're playing him. Sometimes it's hard to remember that Benjamin is 16.
Yeah,
I think
and
this
I
is
also.
my first, sorry.
Oh God, no! After you, Rick.
I was just gonna say, I think this is my first time as well at a table playing with a kid. Let's be honest, it's a kid, and so I have always used D&D as my place to kind of not escape necessarily, but it's a hang out with my friends. It's always been a very adult environment in both the themes that we tackle as well as the jokes that we make, and so there was a bit of watching it back and listening to it back and kind of realizing it with the hindsight, which is always 2020 obviously, was a bit oh crap, this is clearly something that I hadn't considered, haven't done before, need to kind of just vibe check myself a little bit on making sure that those conversations don't get to the point, especially with Benjamin as a character.
Exactly, and I think what's also important to say is we are putting ourselves out there on Twitch, more importantly, and also Twitch is very bad for clipping moments that make things seem a lot worse. I will say that. Obviously, to everyone who did clip, thank you. It's always good to have more content. But we also bear in mind that, as Amanda pointed to, we are all adults. We are all slightly lewd, and I think it doesn't help that I am playing a character of that age, especially when I have very little filter. So I need to be more mindful of what I say prior, and have a little bit more forethought. But also, let's just put it out there that I feel like, if I can speak for all of us, we're all morally correct adults, and we'd never intentionally want to allude to anything of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
No, not that we need to talk too much more about it. I think everyone here is in agreement, but I have watched that clip so many times because also I needed to figure out how to edit around it and things like that. And you can see so clearly on your own expression, Jake, that as soon as you said it, you realize what you said straight straight after that. You can see that you were shocked as well. When
it was definitely one of those moments of it was said and it was kind of innocent, but in the kind of out of context, and it wasn't just Jake. I also said something which I was going to say anyways before Jake said what he said, and which is and it's fine, and things happen, and we're just gonna do better.
Absolutely. So that also sort of just brings us into a question, or community question that we sort of got, which is how much are you editing things before sharing them as a podcast? So normally I would say we don't really edit too much out, but situations like this, obviously we can edit that. But normally I just try and remove the breaks. Because we do have breaks during the live show, so I edit those out and I add an intro and outro, and then that's basically much it. So what you are listening to on the podcast is at least probably 95% of what you saw on the live show, so not too much unless we really have to.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump into some other subjects. Last time we had Adam and Danny on, and they got a few questions that I can, reuse for you guys since you weren't there. Expectations going forward, because we had such a good time up until now. But how do you see the future, and what do you want to see maybe
in the game?
In the game, currently, not in just in this particular.
What are
game
your future life goals and aspirations?
Too much of a question for 20 to 11 and a hungover Saturday morning. No, inside the game, I'll be honest. Because when we were discussing this, you very clearly set the scene of the world that we were going to be in. Mm-hmm. And within 5 minutes, you have ripped us from that scene entirely. So any expectations that I had, I've kind of thrown out the window, I'll be completely honest. Right. We might talk about it later on, but I've had to be kind of experimental with my spells, because I was almost useless because I picked them thinking we were in a high-tech setting. So I suppose off the fly from last episode, I'm now expecting the survival part of this to be much more intense than I thought before, which I'm here for. I'm here for Arlene, not so much, but you know, that's a problem that he'll have to solve. So I think, yeah, I'm going to try and have to turn on my Survivor brain a bit more. Maybe this gives me a reason to watch Survivor, as in the TV show. I've never seen it before, but
Survivor's awesome.
Okay, I should maybe watch some Survivor. I'll make that an excuse to watch some Survivor. So yeah, I'm gonna try and go. Tom Hanks. Is Tom Hanks the one that survived on a raft? That's him, right?
Yeah, on an island. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, I'm gonna go Tom Hanks.
Castaway, right?
Castaway.
Yeah.
That's not Survivor.
I know my pop. Yeah, well, I'm not saying.
You know what?
Survivor,
I'm not judging you at all because the other night, Jake said that Matt Damon was not as famous as other actors. I actually can't even remember, and I was like, "What? What?"
So for context, I have this very weird thing where I don't know celebrity names. I know the characters that they play. So I couldn't remember Matt Damon's character in what's that Mars film called?
The Martian.
The Martian.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm also really bad at titles apparently. But I was comparing them to the people who are very versed in their acting abilities, like Jim Carrey or some others, like higher profile ones that you can imagine for multiple characters. But we'll close that.
And he's like, Matt Damon, just you know Jim Carrey. You always know Jim Carrey, but Matt Damon, who knows Matt Damon? And I'm like,
why are we comparing Jim Carrey and Matt Damon?
We're not. It was just more of a if you. I don't know. I was going.
Also, sorry. Now we're talking about Matt Damon. I watched Thor Ragnarok the other night, and I forget that he's in it. He's got like a small bit part, but he's in that.
Fantastic.
I feel like Matt Damon should have like a big. If he's in the MCU, get him in the MCU kind of thing. You know, like.
Maybe he doesn't want to be in the MCU, and maybe, I'm sorry. Now this is turning into geek herring.
Totally derailed the episode.
I do that.
So return to it. I'm happy that that you feel that your expectations were sort of ripped away from this world that you left.
I'm happy that your expectations were ripped out from beneath your feet.
Because, well, I don't know. Maybe that was a wrong wording. But I remember when I came up with this idea, because the whole Baragoo world, just a little bit of insight here. Before we started this, I had no clue what that world would be. This is all, the lore is something that I made over the past few months before we actually started the first session. Because, my real world, the world that I had in mind is the one that you arrived in now. That's basically what we're setting up with all this that's happening. So, So I made that document that I sent to you that described the world and what we would be doing. And all of a sudden, I just got all these messages back that, oh, this world is amazing. It's so cool. And we're looking forward to it. And I was like, did I do it wrong? Because everybody was so excited about this world all of a sudden. And I was like, but that's not what we're going to play.
You're a good world builder, originally. It's a good thing that worked against you.
Yeah. That's my conclusion as well. That if you were excited about the world, because then your characters would fit into the world, and then you would feel where did we end up, what would we end up doing, so your character would feel it as well. So I ended up being like, this is good, this is a good thing. But I was worried for a second.
It's okay, we also have future plans for Baragoo, don't we, Marty?
I don't know if we do.
No, we do.
Okay.
We've talked about it. You're acting like we have never talked about this. That's fine.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No problem. Keeps the air of mystery.
No, I think I already said last time that because I actually sort of fell in love with this world now that I created it as well. So I can totally see that we might go back and do something in this world at some point. I don't know if it will be like a limited series like this, like we're doing now, or if it will be a one-shot, or if it will be a longer campaign or something. But I feel like we have established some characters in that world already that could be fun to explore a little bit more about as well. So maybe in the future.
As long as you stop cutting them in half, that'd be great.
That would be preferable for Ron.
Yeah.
Poor Ron.
Oh,
Yeah.
miss him already.
Jake, how about you? Anything you're looking forward to or hoping might happen? Or
I don't know. I feel like Rik very much summed up how a lot of us were feeling. Although, so when I was reading through the document about Bargu, I was split. My mind split. My God, my English today. My mindset was very split. Wow. Okay, Amanda. Thank you. I fell in love with the world. Absolutely. You described it in such a way that made it seem like nothing I'd ever played before, which was fantastic. And I really wanted to build a character around that. However, I also wanted to play a character that was brand new to me, because I had never played a warlock before. And I felt it was probably a better idea just to go back to my roots of D&D. So I'm kind of glad I did make that decision, seeing as now we are in a new world and it seems a lot more old school D&D. Well, not old school, but back in the normal playing field. Yes.
That's the first time you've mentioned you're playing a warlock.
I'm just gonna go down.
Rewind.
Here and, hi. Yes. Well, if
is this the reveal?
This is
this
apparently
it?
the reveal. Then yes.
Oh my God.
Although I think
there were a few hints in the last episode.
Oh yeah, the giant person speaking to me that no one else could hear. Yeah, that's a pretty big one.
It's okay. I think a lot of us have giant people speaking to us that no one else can hear. It's fine.
I was about to say that's
Just
part
in
of
good
the core part of
company.
my character, but
I'm
I'm not a warlock.
Okay, well, I'm glad that everyone knows that now. Hi. Benny's gonna go and get a little bit crazy. It's great. But yes. So yeah, I wanted to play something that I felt that was new and fresh, but also I needed to like rein in like how I was going to play this character as well. In terms of this world. So I'm just glad it's taken this tangent.
Which is going to be really interesting as well, because obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious, but I think I have alluded to it that the power level that the other characters were at, level 12 when we started, which are currently at, they will get back to that level at some point. So we have to figure out how, because Ben is going to level really quickly if he has to follow with the others, so I haven't really figured out completely how all that would work out. But
A 16-year-old level 12 character. That's some life experience.
I know, right?
That is.
But,
hopefully, actually, I'm not going to say that. The fun part for some behind the scenes stuff, if you want to know, is that Jake almost revealed what his character was because he doesn't quite understand how Foundry works.
Yes. Very good point.
And he tried casting spells whilst we were playing, and then during one of the breaks he was like, "Rik, how do I delete stuff from Foundry?" And I was like, "Here you go." I didn't look at any of them, so I didn't know what spells they were. But yeah,
that was an error on my part. For sure.
Also, just a quick little, now that we are behind the scenes, so how we did it was that we obviously got all the characters together on D&D Beyond in like a campaign, but I had to make 2 additional campaigns because some people decided that they wanted to keep things secret. So Strix has his own campaign where he put his character into, and Adam Strix and Jake / Benjamin has his own campaign as well, where we put the warlock in, just so I could have access to those characters as well. So yeah, had to do a lot of just small things behind the scenes to keep certain interesting facts away from the other players. For instance, that Strix is an owl, Alim.
Yeah, that was. I didn't quite know how to kind of roleplay that out in the moment, and it took me a while to figure it out as well, like longer than I would like to admit, which is, I'm sure, is fine. But yeah,
it made for a great moment between Arlene and Strix. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was so much fun to watch.
It took me, it was fun to do as well. Looking back, I was like, okay, that went really well. But in the moment, I was like, my brain was like, something's going on, and I'm not entirely sure what.
And you can see it when you go back and watch that scene. It's so amazing because you can see Alim is surprised, but you can also see Rik sitting there. What is going on?
Wait a second, something's happening here. But no, yeah, Alim on the other hand is a complete open book. He's got nothing to hide. So, and even if he did, Strix apparently sees it anyway. So that's fine.
Yep. All right. I have a question from Adam actually that we can maybe have a quick go at. Let's start with you this time, Jake. Do you have any theories about what Marty has planned for us?
Not a one, if I'm honest. You've kept everything very well under wraps. I feel like because when we were creating our characters initially, there were limitations on what we could create. Not huge ones, but there were some. So I feel like there might be more of a presence, especially after meeting our first dragon already, that there will be more dragonborn characters that we'll probably run into potentially. And I guess from again, this might be slightly spoilers, but you're welcome. Because I've met my patron here, I feel like there's probably a lot more fiendish type things going on as well.
You met your patron here?
Well, the voice started appearing here, so yes.
Oh, I don't want to play this game anymore. That's trauma waiting to happen. No.
Sounds like danger.
No, it's absolutely fine. What could go wrong?
Sound like
It's
Neza.
just a
It's
friend
fine.
in my head. He's helpful.
Exactly. It's just the friend in my head.
Does Benjamin
And I
question anything? Like anything at all?
No.
That's a fully fair answer.
Yeah, he's still in the prime of his life, you know.
Okay.
So any of you others have any theories?
As I say, expectations are out the window, so I feel like theories went with them. I have a feeling that trying to get back potentially, especially with what you've just said about like how you created a world and then you were like, oh shit, these people really like this world. I had a feeling that potentially like getting back isn't the correct thing to be doing. Like maybe learning to live where we are is probably the better idea. I don't know. But that's also just the pessimist in me hoping for some in character like heavy trauma as well. That would be hilarious. I've got that kind of brewing in the back of my head. Like maybe not. Every time we go, especially in the last episode, to attempt to make a step at getting back, you seem to throw things in a direction. I don't know if that's like fun challenges or DM saying you're going the wrong way. So we'll have to figure that one out, I suppose, on the road. But I haven't got a lot. I think in terms of what's next kind of thing, like in my brain, what I think is going to be next, it's going to be a case of us truly trying to figure out this world with a bunch of people who don't know how to survive because they've never literally had to survive in their life in a situation like this. And as I say, Alim is a character who has traveled a lot, even though he comes from a place that doesn't have the experiences that we're kind of facing right now. He's probably the one with the most survival skills potentially on the team. I'm not entirely sure. That might be like a bold thing to say.
I'm just waiting for Benjamin to be like, I am from the Order of the Owlbears.
I was holding it back so much.
Also 16. So like I don't know. My in my head for the wider campaign, it's kind of like, as I say, survival is the key now, and also trying to figure out actually what the correct steps forward are going to be, whether it's like actually try and figure out how to get back or learn to live where we are. And then for Alim specifically, it's going to be, he's not a leader. Let's be perfectly honest. Alim isn't a leader. He's not here to lead people. That's not what he came for. He came to find a new world, but there was very implicit status that it was going to be able to get back as well. So he is trying to put his best foot forward, whilst also trying not to have a mental breakdown at the same time. So we'll see how that plays out.
Right. So I had so many follow-up questions in my mind while you were all speaking, and I didn't write them down, and now my mind is blank.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
That's yeah. Great show host here. Yeah, I don't know, Amanda. You haven't said too much. So how about you? Do you have any theories? Or because you do maybe have of all the players, you probably have the quotation mark most insight.
Yes, so I'm going to answer as both Amanda and Neza. So I have a feeling what's going to happen, and I'm not actually going to say because if I'm right, based on conversations that I've had with Marty about this world over the past few years, I don't want to say anything to spoil that. So I have theories. Neza is determined that everybody is going home. Neza is going to make that portal and get everybody back to Baragoo because that's where the technology is in this world. There is no science. Yet. Maybe she will make the science.
Is she admitting that? She didn't want to admit that during episode 2.
Neza is not here. I'm just speaking.
Sure, yeah, sorry, yeah. Apologies. No, Neza's not here. That's rude of me.
Neza is admitting nothing. But she is getting home.
Okay.
But yeah, I have to admit that the first episode was probably like 85% scripted.
For you.
Because there was just so many, small things we just needed to introduce really quickly. And I even told you before the show started, don't go explore too much because we have quite a bit we need to get through. So it was really fun for me to just lean back and be the audience a little bit more in the latest episode. Any like particular fun moments or anything that you thought was especially good in episode number 2?
Okay, I'm jumping right in here because one of my favorite moments was Neza getting led by all of the zombies towards where Strix and Arlene were, and she's just like, "What's going on? How's it going?" Well, and she just like leads into this like, "Why am I out here? Why'd you bring me all the way over here?" And Arlene's like, "Shut the fuck up!" And she's like, "Blah, blah, blah."
I think for myself, a very similar moment, but in general, out of character, knowing that you've already thrown a dragon at us. Like, I know that was a dragon, obviously. In character, obviously trying to figure out what it was, but also trying to figure out, both in character and out of character, if this was a challenge that you were expecting us to kind of take on right here, right now. And I was like, because we were with that dragon for a while, and there was plenty of opportunity for us to have attacked it. I still think we did the right thing in not doing so, obviously. But you were taunting us with that fucker for quite some time, to the point where I was like, I don't know if he actually wants us to. And then I was like, is this a red herring? Is he doing this on purpose? Because it will be hilarious if we do try and take on a dragon like this early on. And so there was a moment.
Would have been a very short campaign.
Yeah. Right.
It said 10 sessions. It was 2. Timing was a little bit off.
I mean, this is what I'm saying though, like when I say that expectations are out the window, right? Because I don't know if that was a story hook that you wanted us to lean into and you were going to make something happen if we did decide to like fight the dragon, or if we did try, I say fight the dragon, engage with the dragon is probably a better term because we would have got wiped immediately. So yeah, I was in the moment of, I've seen people ripped in half. We're on a different planet. I've gone through a portal. I can't talk to my celestial being anymore that is like part of my entire character. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to expect anymore. Maybe walking headfirst into a dragon is what Marty wants us to do. I don't know. I really don't know.
It's what Neza wanted to do. And that's just as much, like, that's just as good as what Marty wanted to do.
It's actually kind of funny because from my point of view, because I have a completely different point of view than you, I can now understand, because I was like, first of all, the way that I've done it is that I have specific events that happen in specific locations, so it kind of depends on what you're picking, and you picked that one, and from my point of view, I wasn't taunting you. I was just showing you a dragon, and I was expecting you to know that we cannot, as a level 3, go up against a dragon. That's or level 4, sorry. That's foolish. And you guys just kept being like, we need to do something. What should we do? And we need to keep it here. And I was just like, no, what are you doing?
What is wrong with you?
So when you did that, so when you tried to do that maneuver to distract it, I was like, all right, let's show them what it got. And here it spews fire. Do you still want to fight it? And that's
Kind
when
of.
it finally flew off. So
Oh, I was about to say that didn't stop Neza from wanting to engage with it still. In fact, I think seeing a monster breathing fire just encouraged her even more to want to know what this thing was about.
You've got Neza down to a T already.
Oh,
That
yeah,
means I'm
yeah.
really playing her well.
Yeah, dangerous is
Yeah.
what I would put Neza down to. Like,
No, well, curious.
Curious.
Inquisitive.
and what's the rest of that sentence? Curiosity killed the people who
Neza.
end up in the new world.
I mean, you have plenty of survivors with you, so we could roll new characters for you if you died.
We did.
No.
Strix did send a zombie after the dragon, right? That happened.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I
we have
mean-
an episode where we all just play strict zombies.
Oh my god, that's
It would be so silent.
it's just Adam soloing everything. Oh, I don't even know what I want to say. Yeah, you did actually send a skeleton after the dragon, so technically Strix should have a read on where it is. Jake, any
As long as the dragon
favorite
survives.
any favorite moments?
Favorite moments for me. I feel like there was a brief moment where we were being ambushed by these green forest people. I'm going to call them. And the point where Nessa was trying
I
to...
said trolls so many times during
You
the
did.
episode, so let's just call them what they are. Okay.
Okay, trolls then. And there was a point where Nessa very quickly spoke to Eileen and said, "Oh, they're going to eat us," and that just got me straight from the bat. There was also the point where, complete off script, was when I feel like I very much got under Eileen's skin this episode, especially with all the singing.
This episode.
Well, for now, I feel like the singing definitely got us in trouble. But Benjamin's going to carry on, of course. Why wouldn't he? And yeah, there were some definite encounters that were definitely highlights for me.
You say you get under Arlene's skin, but he's also just cracking to like the pressure of having to be around Benjamin. Like he let you hold his hand, and
Oh, he
skip
did?
That was so
Yeah.
cute.
That was very
Yeah.
endearing.
I was like, Arlene just has to give in here. I don't think he has the patience or the strength to fight this. At least in the moment of trying to stop Neza from eating every flower that we passed in the forest.
She didn't
And-
eat anything. That was Benjamin.
I'm
Oh,
pretty
that's true.
sure
You did. Yeah,
Benjamin
sorry, you
ate some mushrooms at some
Yeah.
point, and
It was totally fine. I'm sure.
it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Fine. No problem.
did. Were the voices before or after the mushrooms?
Is this my inner happy talking, or yeah?
What
And,
else?
yeah, we also got
I have
our-
another favorite moment. And
Okay.
it took me by surprise, actually, a lot. And it was when we delivered the news to Strix that that Blue, the zombie, was dead.
Oh god.
And like
Oh, yeah.
Strix's face, Adam's face, and I was just like, oh, Strix has feelings. Oh, I did not see that coming. And like he had to go off and have a moment, and I was just like, you're such an asshole.
And
It
then
was
we had a
awesome.
fight where a lot of zombies died, and I was like, "Are we having like a full-on mental breakdown after this fight? Is Strix gonna be okay?" Because there's a
know.
lot of casualties here. Yeah, that was
Mhm.
intense. We didn't
That's
get too much
actually-
of Auburn, I thought, this episode.
No, sadly, Auburn was all the way on the other end of the map,
Yeah.
and I was just trying to get him back into the action as fast as possible without making it like season 8 of Game of Thrones.
True.
But I think Danny was both like, obviously he wanted to participate a bit more, but he was also a little bit sick still, so he was kind of happy that
Oh, okay.
that it actually ended up as it did, because he basically lost his voice right after we all hang up. So on the call. So
didn't even realize he was ill. So testament to him. I honestly didn't even notice.
I think it added to his character basically. That's I think it was a happy coincidence.
I think the situation worked perfectly to his character though, in that Auburn arrived and we weren't struggling. We may have been struggling in the fight. It took us a while to figure out that fire was
pretty dead.
Yeah. So it was a moment of Auburn, that kind of classic moment of someone showing up and you're being like, this is it, the turnaround, and then watching Auburn being fucking useless in a fight, was just like, great, awesome. So this is the backup, and we might as well not have had it. So, sorry, Danny, I love you. Auburn's amazing.
You're not wrong. Auburn couldn't even put the fire on the troll to kill the troll.
Yeah. I think Benjamin had to show Auburn, put the fire on the troll. Very simple.
It's true.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what was your favorite moment? / what did you think? Did we do anything that surprised you? / you weren't expecting us to?
I mean,
I don't think he expected us to do anything.
I think I've stopped making expectations for players in these
very
types of
wise,
games.
Very wise choices.
So, but no, I think it was a very cool scene with the dragon overall. You're trying to figure out, should we do something or should we not do something? But the DM in me was like, what are they thinking about? We already spoke about this, that it's a freaking dragon. You're level 4. What are you thinking? But it works so well. It speaks into the whole. You came from a completely different world. You don't have dragons in that world. You don't know what the hell you're up against. So I think it worked out quite well. But again, happy coincidence. I think that was, and I think the other scene as well with Strix. When he figured out that one of his zombies was gone. I mean, I knew that was Strix's feelings, because Adam and I have been talking about it, but to see it, unfold and see your reactions to it as well, it's just, it's so great. So yeah, but I think, I don't know, I think both session 1 and session 2 has been such a blast to do both of them so far, and there's so many moments that it's difficult as well, I find, to just pick one moment and be like, this is the fun moment. I think all the characters all have their quirks, all have their personalities, and I feel like they're all being played so well by everyone that I can 100% say this is nothing like I've experienced Dungeons and Dragons before. So
I agree.
That sounds like a thing that can go both ways.
in a good way, in the good sense.
I used a very similar term at work the other day, and it didn't mean a good thing. Oh, I can't wait to see how this goes.
Well, I can't wait to see how this goes, but I'm excited to see how it goes. So.
Just in terms of, you said, everyone's playing their characters really well. I feel like me as Amanda, I need to apologize for how blunt and quite rude as it is. She's very just, she doesn't mean to be a total dick, but I'm pretty sure she is.
Yeah, I think she.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
The vibe I'm getting from her is that she has put science and the betterment of advancement in front of her social skills. And I think I came away from the session half apologizing to you, because I kind of went into it a little bit myself when she wouldn't shut the fuck up about the exploration and things and discovering things and trying to get scales from the dragon, etc. And I interrupted you because I was just like, this is not what we need in this moment, and then kind of felt bad because I was like, oh god, I interrupted another character, that's really rude. But at the same time, I was like, I don't think if anyone had interrupted you, you wouldn't have stopped talking.
I would not
like,
have
Neza
stopped.
would have just kept. She would have just kept going. Yeah.
In fact, I think she probably would have marched right out to the dragon if you hadn't told her to shut up.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I feel like we have two similar characters in that sense, that I don't feel like Benjamin is the type to also, when he starts going, he's also just
Honestly,
going, right?
I'm a little bit worried about the friendship that's going to form between Neza and Benjamin, because she used to be a teacher and she's going to be like, all right, student, let's go.
Oh god, please don't say that. I have so much admiration for like most adults right now, so I'm just like, oh no, I'm gonna listen to everything you say.
It's gonna be excellent.
Save me, Arlie.
I'm not the role model you want. You know that right now. Aleem is a lot of fun things. Role model, not the one.
No chance for Arlie. No.
Who would you think would be, just a random thought I just got, because it doesn't seem like any of the cast, well, what their characters at least, seems like the perfect leader of this expedition.
Which I kind of love. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've played so many D&Ds, both huge campaigns and one-shots, where like a leader kind of like either naturally forms or someone's like, I'm gonna be the leader kind of thing. I kind of like the fact that there isn't a natural one in our group, and also that no one's really wanting to step up to be it. If it was anyone, I'd say it was Strix. But at the same time, like, I like it. It adds to the essence of, we haven't got a fucking clue what we're doing. We're in this situation, no one knows what's happening. If things had gone correctly, potentially Neza would have been the one like, leading the charge. But she's been put in a situation that she just doesn't know how to control, because
she is perfectly so ready for this situation, and Auburn really trusts her, and that's all she needs. She's fine.
No, I
is it
take
you or Neza speaking?
Maybe both.
We're in great hands.
Everything will work out just fine, and no one needs to worry about anything.
Maybe if you can just put the clipboard down one day, then
It's not a clipboard; it's a tablet, and it probably doesn't have very much charge yet. But we're not going to talk about that, because that might bring up bad feelings.
All right. Last week, or not last week, but the last behind the scenes thing we did, GDY67 had a question for the other two that I'm now also going to ask you. What was everyone's character creation process like? I think, Jake, you sort of spoke a little bit about yours, so let's jump to Rik first and hear, how was Aleem born?
Sure. So whenever I've played D&D before, I always play very fantastical characters. Dryads. I'm currently playing a Dryad in a different campaign that I've been playing for almost 4 years now. So like I play, because it's D&D, it's a chance to be different and kind of think outside the box a little bit. So for this campaign, I was kind of like, how about I play something that's human passing, not technically a human, Asimar. I still don't know how to pronounce that word.
One of those.
Ass. Yes, I'm an ass. So human passing, not human, but still human passing, and kind of see the fun I could have with that. Again, I did this assuming we were in a modern setting. And I was like, I can play a human in a modern setting, because that just kind of plays to my strengths of being a human in a modern world, and that has all been ripped apart and ripped away from me, so I'm having to rethink that one. But yeah, no, I really wanted to just kind of do things I hadn't done before, so that was why I went for Asimar. It's also I went for a bard as well. I've never played a bard before. This is my first time playing a bard, and the battle in the last episode has made me realize that I don't know how to play a bard. They are very interesting characters, and essentially I thought I built a good one that was kind of healing focused as well. However, outside of healing, a little bit useless, and I don't know if that's because I built it incorrectly or because bards are such good I should have lent more into the fact that bards are like jack of all trades. They can do a little bit of everything, and I don't think I lent into that. I think I tried to specialize Arlene potentially a little bit too much on the healing side, which means he lost the benefit of being jack of all trades kind of thing. So I'm gonna have a rethink about how that happens. Obviously, as we grow and get some of our levels back, it'll open up a little bit more because I've got other stuff. Also, worth noting, I don't know if this was mentioned in any of the previous podcasts, we weren't told that we were going to be losing levels. So I built my character as a level 12 character, and I put a lot of stuff on the ass end of my levels because I was like, this is where all the cool shit is. And then Marty took all of the cool shit away, and now I have a couple of healing spells, and I can heat metal. So I'm trying to make, and this is why I was saying earlier,
spell.
Yeah, usually when there's lots of metal around. At the moment, I'm the only thing I had to hurt people was my dagger, which I now lost because a troll ran off with it, so I can't heat any metal anymore. So
right,
yeah,
I gave you an
stabbed a troll.
That'll help.
Yeah, and there's no. I mean, maybe Arlene needs to go and to one of these wreckage sites and just pick up shards of metal that are just lying around, so he can stab people with them and heat up the metal when it's inside them. But yeah. Either way, character process was like, yeah, it was a case of trying to do things I hadn't done before, but also sticking to kind of like some elements of strength. So like I'm a support. I always like playing supports in D&D, in MMOs, anything I play, I like playing the support character, I like being able to heal and keep everyone else up rather than actually be doing the damage myself. So I kind of tried to stick to that a little bit. And I think bards are good at that, but again, I need some of the spells that I haven't got at the moment to kind of completely kind of like flesh that out a little bit. So yeah.
I do think though that if we have to just think a little bit more about the world and loring it up a little bit, it would make sense maybe for a character like Alim to not, to sort of maybe specialize into something, because, in this world where he's from, it doesn't really matter too much. You just do what you feel like doing, sort of like in real life, you sort of like just try and go in one direction because that everything else is taken care of for you, So I think it definitely adds to the whole storyline. Again, happy coincidence, nothing I planned, but it adds to it, that you are all a bunch of people who never really tried to really, survive by yourself, So
I think that also like Arlene's character is like happy-go-lucky. He's a little bit reckless as a person. He hasn't quite grown up. He's a lot younger mentally than he should be kind of physically. And he's kind of still wants to go out and just kind of not really care about anything. And I kind of felt that the bard would quite play into that quite nicely, because it would be a jack of all trades. Again, wasn't like, sure, there was a bit of a healing specialization in there, but it kind of meant he could just kind of do whatever. And that would kind of come across. And it has kind of come across, because every time someone asks Arlene, what are you here for? Like, what are you specialized in? It's literally nothing. Like, literally, I sometimes I don't know why I'm here. So it is playing out to how I expected. Just the new experience is a little trickier than I thought it was going to be.
And we also discovered that he's not really into the whole club scene.
No, not the club scene. Definitely not. He's definitely a music bar person.
Sorry, what are you going to say?
No one can hear his guitar at a rave. Like, why would he go to a rave? No one can hear his guitar. Come on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I'm excited to see this happy-go-lucky side of Arlene, because so far, I don't think that that's come across very much. Like, it's more been very serious, like quite panicking, and Neza, don't do that. Neza, don't do that. Benjamin, don't do that. I feel like you're becoming our dad, and
yeah.
So I want to see happy-go-lucky Arlene.
I think a part of that is that came out of nowhere, and I think it came out of the reason because so a part of Arlene's character, I don't think I'm ruining too much here, unless you have a plan, Marty.
Sorry?
If you want to edit this out of the podcast, then feel free to do so if I'm revealing too much. But Arlene, obviously, as an Asimir, has like a celestial guide that he doesn't listen to because he's a bratty teenager, basically. As I say, at heart, not age-wise. And he has lost that. He doesn't have that celestial guide at the moment. So he's always been fighting with it, and now that he doesn't have it, he has to be the voice of reason, because if he's not the voice of reason, he won't have the voice of reason telling him what the right thing to do is. Despite the fact he doesn't listen to it, he doesn't have it there anymore. So he's the one now having to be like, okay, I've not got anyone watching my back for the first time in forever, so I need to make sure that everything's going correctly, because if I don't do it, they're not going to look out for me, kind of thing. So I think that's where that part of Arlene's character has come from. I just haven't had a chance to explore that in game too much just yet, but I think that's where it's coming from, at least.
Nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll edit that out. I think that's cool. Jake, anything because you did touch a little bit about on how you made your characters. Anything you want to add to the whole character creation process?
I think a lot of people, especially seeing people respond in chat about like how happy and how carefree Benjamin is. Maybe I can lean a little bit more into that. Because I always had the idea of creating a scout as a character regardless, but it wasn't until when you and Amanda said that I got into the campaign that I took inspiration by looking back through old photographs, because not many people know this, but when I was growing up, I used to be in a Boy Scout group, or at least the Cub side of it here in the UK. And it was really odd to see all these like photographs of me when I was very young, but also be just very immature for my age as well. So I kind of got most of my inspiration back from that, and remembering times that we were out like camping and living off the wild sort of things. Like we took like week-long trips just staying out in nature and actually gathering resources, not so much to hunting, but like seeing like fresh raspberries around and making stuff out of that. And it was
any mushrooms?
No mushrooms, thankfully. We were told very, very, very strictly never to eat any mushrooms around, and anything that was gathered that we'd let the scout leaders check beforehand. So yeah, that was a big influence, but also partially, I believe, which podcast is it? I think it's called Not Another D&D Podcast. One of the very early seasons, there was a character also playing it, a Boy Scout, so I leaned into their happy-go-lucky a little bit as well. But I feel like the main thing that I want to lean into, which is where the warlock side of things comes into, is that because it's at that point of 16 where things start to develop and puberty hits, like I instead of focusing too much on that side of things, I want to see what happens in terms of like an emotional state. So I liked the idea of potentially going slightly more grown up, learning a bit more about myself sort of side. So I think connecting those three elements together is how Benjamin was born, essentially.
I mean, I think out of all the characters, I think Benjamin was the one that surprised me the most. I had to reread your the bits that you sent to me. I had to reread them a few times. I'm like, going to play a really young character. I was very surprised by how all the stuff that you revealed to me about him, because I talked a little bit about it on the last behind the scenes we did, that I have this book idea like on NaNoWriMo that I have written that is sort of like it started out as being the prequel to my world. Now what we're doing now is the prequel to the prequel. And I have like a few boxes that I want to tick off because that will play very much into that storyline. Mm-hmm. And I actually had a slight spoiler, maybe, I don't know. I had some plans for a warlock type character. So I was very happy to see your character, and then you completely were like, but it's this 16-year-old boy. I was like, that is not what I had in mind at all. So I think, me personally, I'm very, very curious to see where Benjamin is.
Hopefully less annoying, but we'll see.
Lean into it. That was great.
Come on, Arlene. Sorry, I had to get that once.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I can't wait to for the Arlene Benjamin like bardic duo happening.
I never thought about that. I have a pan flute.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I know that I said that I was like accepting Benjamin. Maybe that's a session 10 thing. If maybe
Campfire songs. evening entertainment.
I don't know if this is me or Benjamin speaking now. I'm so excited. Let's go.
It's both.
You have merged with your character now. We are almost out of time, but just if you can have like a one quick, short-ish answer to this question from Adam. Is there anything in particular you'd like to see your character do before the end of the series? And I'm interested as well, so I'll write notes here.
God.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I sound like a broken record, but as I say, all expectations were thrown out the window. So everything that I kind of had in mind, I'm kind of like, does that still apply? In my head, when I formed Arlene, there was going to be a super big conflict between me and my celestial guide, and that was going to kind of be a running thing. That has kind of been, as I say, ripped from me. I'm sure you have plans, and that's absolutely fine. But in my head, I'm kind of like, I would like to still play that out a little bit, because I think it would be fun in terms of how the other characters kind of get drawn into that inner conflict. And as I said, even though that I've kind of panicked and gone into kind of a bit more of a sensible mode because I don't have it anymore, I still think that there is elements of when it comes back, there's still going to be a conflict, because it's going to be kind of, where the fuck were you? You weren't looking after me. And I'm sure the reply to that is going to be you never you never listened to my guidance anyway. What was the difference of me not being there, kind of thing? So I still think there's going to be conflict. It's just going to be different. And I would like to, as I say, I think there is potential for the rest of the cast to kind of get involved in that, in terms of after I've kind of developed relationships with these people and maybe understood a bit more about what I can get from someone who is trying to guide me in the right direction. I'm just intrigued to kind of fill that one out a little bit.
Yeah, I think we also have to remember currently, even though it's been we've been doing this for almost a month, but it's only 2 episodes, and it's literally taking place over a day. We haven't even been here a full day on this planet yet, so we're still really early on. And absolutely. I'm also very how the hell do we only contain it to 10 episodes?
True. Could be the 10-shot episode, 10-shot season that never ends.
maybe, who knows? Amanda, the same question to you. Anything you'd like Nessa to do?
I would like her to become less reliant on technology. She's been obsessed since she was a little girl, and she doesn't know how to function without it. So I'm really curious to see how being in this world with a lack of easy access to technology and to mag cans, right, Arlene, is going to is going to impact her life and her approach to how she does things, because she's very reliant on it. So I'm very curious how she's going to react when her tablet runs out of battery, when there just isn't that easy access to power and energy and everything. So
I swear to God, if you have made us go out to get some mag cans from a dragon because you wanted to charge up your tablet, I'm going to be really pissed off.
I mean, we don't need 10 to go home. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Oh my God, I have so many ideas in my mind right now. It's amazing.
Oh God.
Anyway,
but
Jake,
that did cross
same question.
my mind, and also Neza's mind.
I think right now, Benjamin's very much in the mindset of just trying to look after everyone. So I feel like as long as he thinks that he's done that, I think that's all he needs to do. I think a second, maybe low-key goal is just to make some new friends, because all he really has is the owlbears at the moment, and he's kind of lonely, but no one needs to know that. Out of game. And I feel like now this voice in your head is coming into it. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that Benjamin probably thinks that this is just him speaking. So I think maybe he's just gonna lean into that a little bit more as well, and maybe think that this is just him maturing. Because let's face it, he is a little immature for his age. He's 16. He's always happy-go-lucky. So maybe a little bit into adulthood, we'll say, but definitely not. If that answered the question, I feel like I just went on a random tangent.
What it's all about.
I think it did. It was a very 16-year-old answer, so works out.
Perfect.
All right. I think that was it. That's all we had time for this week. So I'll scroll down here to my sign off. So thank you so much for listening. And if you want to, always be in the loop when there's new episodes, if you want to ask us questions, you can follow us on Twitter at Crowded Tavern. You can join our Discord over at geekherring.com/Discord. So thank you so much for watching and listening. And Amanda, you always want to add something here?
If you like what you hear, please consider reviewing us on one of the many podcast platforms that we're on. And why not subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, so you never miss a moment of action, or the Twitch channel. You can find all of that at Geek Herring TV. Not the podcast. That's just the Crowded Tavern.
You should tell them all about the fancy link tree you made.
There's a link tree. It's very fancy.
You tweeted about how proud you were of that.
I was so proud of it. It was a joint effort. It was the first thing that Jake and I did together for Geek Herring Productions, and it's beautiful.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's it. Goodbye.
Thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Listening, everything.
All the things.